So the way things are as follows: there's Fardim and there's Ashkenazim, as we know, different hagim, different things, and the Sfardim adapted. I'm not going into the reasons why because I'm not 100% sure. Is that they only keep it the week of. In other words, the week of Tisha B'Av, which is when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, is the week that they keep, and the week of and the Ashkenazim keep it from Rosh Chodesh. In other words, and the restrictions that we follow are very similar to the restrictions that we follow when somebody is an Ovel.
So you're saying that Squirty's allowed to eat meat right now, or
Sorry.
they do eat meat?
They're allowed to eat that as long as they
So
know.
in my
that-
house we don't.
Right. Okay, because a lot of Sfardim, especially that live in the Ashkenaz area, where most of the people in the area are Ashkenaz, will adopted many of the minhagim of.
It doesn't work like that with my mom.
Okay,
My mom
so-
this is how my mom grew up, and that's what she knows.
That's okay.
She grew up in America or
In Israel, she's Israeli.
not here? I live more of a Spartan.
No, but it's also
No,
not.
I understand what you're saying of the. It's almost like what do you call it? A malcolm. What do you call it?
I call it a hamakom. Something like that.
It's in a bit.
It's
more than-
minhagim. We don't want to. We don't like to change.
Mina malcolm.
We don't like to change things so much because when we change things too much, then everybody makes up their own things.
It becomes wishy-washy.
Okay, so
These two guys said they want to go deeper into it. They want to go.
okay, so
I wouldn't mind that.
okay, so
Three guys.
let's try to
Okay.
focus a little bit. I wrote a statement.
No?
What happens is anytime I prepare
sure.
anything, we never end up talking about what I wanted to talk about, which is fine. Because talking to you guys, so we'll talk about what you want to talk about. Just makes life that much easier. Okay? Focus tonight, obviously, is 9 days. I didn't prepare so much for it. Actually, I didn't really prepare anything, but what I did prepare was a little bit continuation from last time. Is that very often, and I'm saying for all of us, we do things that are according to halacha. The halacha requires us to do certain actions. However, when we do these actions, we don't feel anything why we're doing it. Like we do certain things, and then we ask ourselves, yes, we're required to do it, and we're doing it. Now, why are we doing it? That's what happens, right? So, there is in every person there are two parts. There's a soul and a body, right? In our world, we can't live one without the other. We have to. It doesn't work, right? We're alive. You're alive. You have a body. So I'm going to ask you a question. If let's say I picked up my hand and I smacked you, right? I'm not talking about smacking back, right? What smacked you? My soul or my body?
Honestly, both.
What actually
Wait.
smacked you?
The body, yeah.
And then I'll ask you a question the other way around. You got smacked. You felt it. What got smacked? Your body or your soul?
Your body, but you felt it in your.
So what made you feel it? Now I'm going to tell you a pasuk.
Because it's the grading.
Your body
It's a
does.
two separate things.
There's two parts.
What you felt, the physical pain.
There's
is-
physical pain, and then there's we'll call it
Emotional
like
pain.
emotional pain.
That's from your
That
soul.
you're insulted, right?
That's your
Right?
soul, yeah.
How dare you smack me? Who do you think you are to smack?
That's from the action, not from the pain.
Correct. So now comes the question. It says in the pasuk, "Nefesh kisachata." What's a nefesh? A soul. Kisachata did an avera, right? Who did the avera? Your body did the avera. Your body was a mechal Shabbos. He did something on Shabbos, right? That he wasn't allowed to do. So why are we saying nefesh kisachata? It should be guf kisachata.
Isn't it Ratzon in a way? That doesn't that come from the nefesh?
So there's a question of can we separate the guf from the nefesh?
Not in this world. No.
Okay. So as you know, in our world, as we know, we came from another world, all of us, right? There was a body prepared for us in this world, and then as we entered the world, Rabban Shalom, he selected a neshama whatever that neshama was, and he stuck it inside you. And he said, okay, this is, I mean, just to, put it simply, we're talking about things that we really have no understanding, that he took soul A and put it in body A, and hopefully they'll work themselves out, right? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but he always did it in a way that challenges us to the utmost, because how much do we really like what we do? I'm talking about religious things, right? To make money, we all like. To eat, we all like. All these things, all bodily actions, we all love. Now, the question is, how much do we love our non-bodily actions? So, the point over here is that, and please interrupt me if you're not getting what I'm saying or you have questions or whatever it is. The point of it is that we have a soul and we have a body, and we have to make them work in unison as one. A soul always wants us to do better. Our body always wants us to do our bodily needs and wants, which is not always, but very often, anti our soul. What do I mean anti? To sit, let's just say we're sitting and listening to a shir, chilling while we're doing it, eating some food, drinking something, making us comfortable, is in a way where we're able to do both at the same time. Right? Because if let's just say, I'm not saying that every shir has to have food by it, right? But it makes it like you don't want to listen to what the guy's talking about, right? So you focus on what you're eating, and looks good, and everybody's happy, and maybe something penetrates, and maybe something doesn't. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is that we were able to do something that's good for our souls and good for our bodies in unison, and that's really part of a goal. And then it means, okay, now what are you doing with this goal? Where are you going with it? So we're in a time. So before I go into actual 9 days, something important to understand. It's not just for now, it goes for every Yom Tov. Okay? What happens when we come to any time that the Torah told us is a special day? Why is that a special day? So tell me the truth, because the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed a couple thousand years ago, how sad am I really feeling? Am I feeling it?
To remember.
You still remember it? I don't know. I don't remember it.
No, I'm saying just to remember.
No,
Um,
like
Say, but why?
to symbolize
symbolize-
everything is sorry. Every holiday symbolizes something that happened.
It symbolizes something, but what is it really? How's it sticking itself inside you? Like, where are you going with it? What are you doing with it? It happened so long ago.
It's like any history. You see what happened, and you try to learn from history. So obviously there were reasons why the Mikdash was destroyed. So that's why they make people like say like you shouldn't do this or you should do that to try to improve.
100%. But I want just
To raise awareness.
to raise
Yeah.
awareness. Okay. And what I'm saying is all in agreement with everything what you're saying, but just to take it one step further. We mentioned last time that in every second of every day is a new, inside that second is another, let's say, fraction of a second, and inside that fraction is another fraction, and it repeats itself over and over and over and over. It's a very hard thing to comprehend, but that's pretty much how it is. In this, let's say, time of year when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, what, so to speak, made the Beis Hamikdash get destroyed? What happened in that little box of time that things came out anti us? So if you can capture that moment, those fractions of the seconds that are happening every day and every time, So those fractions are working against us. And by them working against us, we have to work that much harder to turn them to make them work for us. So this is a time when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, right? So it means there's a thing called klipas. I don't know if you're familiar with them. It's like a evil.
Enwrappment.
It's like a spirit which has in it things that are detrimental to us, and the main thing that's detrimental to us from those things is that they have the ability to influence us to do things which would be anti Hashem, which is not necessarily from a simple perspective in your mind would be so bad because all he's telling you to do is, let's say, something not bad, right? But it ends up being bad. Let's get an example. You're eating
To
food,
me-
right?
To me, it seems like it's like it clouds the soul, which doesn't allow the brain
To shine through.
to shine and think of things to improve and be great. Let's say.
For example, let's say you have some food in front of you and you want to eat the food, right? So halacha requires, and not a big deal to do, we make a bracha on the food, right? Now along came this, so to speak, bad influence and made us forget. We sat down, we ate, happens to all of us, we didn't make the bracha. When it happens enough times, it makes us lose our awareness of ever making the bracha. So as we go down that mountain, we're going further and further and further away from that, so to speak, that goal, right? And let's say we're always conscious and we make the bracha, right? So that time I made the bracha, even if I didn't, so to speak, feel it in my soul that I'm making the bracha, but because I made it once, I'll be a little more conscious to make it again if I paid attention. If I didn't pay attention, then it didn't mean anything. Hello, Rabbi Moshe. Baruch Hashem, how you? Okay. Anyways, we're talking about 9 days, and we're talking about how every second of every day is a new judgment. Not just the seconds, but the milliseconds. Not just the milliseconds, but the inside of every millisecond. That's the focus. And the focus becomes that if I did the right thing just now, for whatever it is, so I'll do it again because I have now, there's two things called, one is called klippus, which are the bad ones, and one is called nitzaitis, which are the good ones.
When it cites it, what?
Sparks.
Nitzites, sparks.
Spark.
Nitzotzot, if you're Sephardi. Ashkenazi, nitzaitis. Okay. I like this Friday way better. But anyway, that's all I have from looking in this direction. So.
The only Ashkenazi Hebrew you'll find in America, and here they don't talk like that really.
I think they do.
It's
Some
Israel.
And Israel was
Oh,
adapted.
they like that?
When I grew up, no, everything I spoke was no. When I came here and I heard the American version, like that's not how you talk it with the papers. No, you do.
Right. It depends what school you went to. If you went to a more modern Orthodox
Yeah.
school, everything was Ivrit. If you went to a more yeshivish school, everything was Ivris. Has to do, and if you went to a Hasidic school, well, everything was Yiddish. Main reason, but without going into any politics, because that's not the focus, is let's say Satmar as an example, which is anti-Israel, not anti-Israel as Eretz HaKodesh, Chas v'shalom, but anti the state, which is anti-Torah. And if you want to know how the state is anti-Torah, just look at the current government, and you see everything they do is just to destroy Torah.
The thing they're forgetting is that even Ivrit is Russian Kurdish. It's not.
It
Oh, yeah,
mostly it is. I mean, they invented new words, but that they kind of
Yeah,
had
but
to.
so did Yiddish.
Which is English.
But
Everything's like that. Everything works in a similar vein. Yiddish was a language that was adapted in Eastern Europe to keep the Jews as one. They didn't want to mix
Since
in
we're
with the Goyim.
speaking about Satmar, how come the Turek art is a thing?
Okay, I'm gonna go on that off the record, not for now. Okay, the only thing I will tell you is that there are extremists on every angle of every type of society. Mostly extremists are exactly what they are, extremists. And they're not run of the mill and they don't represent
Can I answer?
they don't represent
there
the
are
majority.
Hamas.
I don't want to go into politics. I want to
not
Try to
I
focus
just want to
on
know the
learning.
idea of like why.
I'll tell you after I shut the video. And I don't know how to go on pause.
Doesn't discriminate.
Okay, good.
He has this on video. Watch out.
Okay, I didn't say it.
that.
Okay, and I don't know how to edit it. So, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is, there's a thing called kedusha, and there's a thing called tumah. Now I'm going to ask you a simple question, and this is related a little bit to last week's parsha, and it's very much affecting us every day now, especially now during the 9 days. When Klal Yisrael went into the desert for 40 years, why a desert? Why couldn't he take them through a nice fertile land? Why does Moshe Rabbeinu have to take them to a desert? Why did he have to go through a desert? Florida grows. In the desert, nothing grows. The answer is simple.
I'll take a wild guess that show them that their dependency on Hashem is great.
Very true, very good. But I want to take it one step further. What I wanted to say is, and this is really, if you think about it, it's 1,000% online. And I'll bring you a ride from a dog. Okay? The reason why the midbar is worse than any other place, because the midbar, the desert, doesn't give back. You take a seed, you plant it in the desert, it doesn't. There's nothing, right? Take a seed and you plant it in your front lawn in Lakewood, it grows a tree. Desert only takes, doesn't give. The midah of tumah only takes. You have to do. The midah of good, and that's the midah of a Jew. Sometimes it's to take, but always to give. The midah of bad, of ra, is always to take and never to give. The lowest form of animal in the Torah, and you'll probably argue with me on many points what I'm about to say, but the facts don't change, is that the lowest form of animal in the Torah is a dog.
Why is that?
I'll tell you a few reasons. A person, there's a thing, a lashon in the Torah called have. It's in Aramish, it means give. Take, gimme. And a person, it means gimme, and I give you. How so? If you take the word have, what's the word have? Numeric value. Hay and a base is 7. So you do twice, a hay and a base twice is 14. How much is a hand? 14. Yad is 14. So by a person is have. I'm thinking, we mentioned something like it last time. If you give me have, right? I have the ability to receive, but I also have the ability to give back. And an animal, a dog, the Gemara uses that lashon, is have. Just gimme. No giving back. Not giving back, that's a midah of tumah, not a midah of kedusha.
But it
You
does.
could say that about
Yeah.
any animal as a
Okay, you could say that as any animal. Okay, so I'm saying it as a dog because the Gemara mentions it as a dog. Now, if you want to go into the actual dog part, and I'm going to make it brief because it's a very touchy topic, especially people who have pet dogs. I'm going to quote you a Maharal, which I've said over many times. And if you look at in my YouTube shirim, I have a whole other shirim about dogs, and I say something similar to it. Is that from every animal we learn different midas. Hashem put them in this world for us to learn something from them. Most of them we don't know. Um, the dog is mentioned in the Torah a lot. Lo yecharatz kelev l'shono. The dogs didn't bark by Yetzias Mitzrayim. So for that schar, it says la kelev tashlichan. We should take the meat and throw it to the dog as his reward for keeping quiet. There is such a thing.
How did that happen?
What?
Why did that happen?
I don't know why did the dog keep quiet? Because the Rishon told him to keep quiet. Simple enough.
But we still.
Wait, let me finish.
That sounds like a very simple answer.
It is very
More
simple,
to
but
it.
wait, I need to go one step further. The reason why is the dog considered not a thing? The Rambam, you guys just try to go according to the Rambam. There's a Gemara that says, "La'olam lo yachzik adam kelev ra b'tech." Basically, a person should not keep a bad dog in his house. When the Rambam quotes that Gemara, it changes. It doesn't say "La'olam lo yachzik adam kelev ra b'tech beisai." It says "La'olam lo yachzik adam kelev b'tech beisai." He takes out the word ra. So you would say, Adam Kelev Ra, you'll say that it's only talking about a bad dog, a pit bull that's untrained and is wild and is a threat to the owner of the house and a baby or whatever else, which makes just logical sense. Why any dog have this cutest little puppy? Why is he considered bad? Says the Maharal, as we know that man's best friend is a dog. Right? So why is it that a horse or a cow, which could be just as loyal to the owner, right, as a dog, why doesn't it say anything about any other animal, only about the dog? Says the Maharal, and I'm quoting you, that since the dog adopted man as his best friend, it's because he is trying to show that his master is not Hashem, but his master is person. So you learn from the dog how to discard Hashem's will and only follow man's will. In other words, so the thing that you would learn
It's
from the
almost
dog,
like Avodah Zarah.
it's not so much about it. It's more so running away from the commandments of Hashem. That's what the dog is representing, and that's why they don't. The Rambam more so, and other Rishonim also say not to keep the dog in the house. And if you look around, just in general, that's why it always intrigued me. You'll go into any from neighborhood with a dog, doesn't matter how big or how cute or anything like that, and you'll take the dog off the leash, and there's a bunch of Jewish kids running around, you will hear the loudest shrieks you ever heard in your life. That's just the thing. Israelis have
I was cleaning a car, and all of a sudden I hear like there's a bunch of families coming to the pool, and they all start coming out screaming. And so the lady's like, "The dog is running after my just the dog is walking simply, it's not even doing anything."
Right. So it's exactly my point. I believe that it's inherent in the neshama of a yid to be scared of a dog because they represent that part of saying that Hashem, you're not my master. You, owner, Mr. Jones or whoever it is, you're my master. We don't want to go touch you.
So I have rise the opposite way to
Okay.
have a dog and to stuff.
Okay, but you have to bring me rights from inside, but not for right now. Obviously, you haven't. Okay, so now.
I'm biased that I have a dog.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, but we're going back to the 9 days. Okay, how do we feel? Now I sidetracked because I went into the time frame. I was talking about the time in every Yom Tov, in every time of Tzaras, whatever it is. Let's take the day of Tisha B'Av, right? The Tisha B'Av was a day that Hashem decreed that the Beis Hamikdash should be destroyed, and that which would be a tremendous day of huge pain for Klal Yisrael, which means that on that day in history, and it repeats itself, is coming down on a regular basis. Those we'll call them klipas, right? I don't know a better word to call them, are coming down on us, We don't want them to affect us in the same pain and suffering that we had from thousands of years ago. Therefore, we do things today in order to fix it so it shouldn't repeat itself on us. And the same thing will apply to a Yom Tov, right? Thousands of years ago, Klal Yisrael was taken out of Mitzrayim, right? It was a special time. It was a huge, tremendous simcha. Hashem was holding us, hugging us, taking us across the Yam Suf. We want to refill that special love. How do we refill that special love? Part of it is in reacting in our bodies. So therefore, it will affect our soul. That we will feel it and be able to reignite that special time in order to feel it again.
What do you do exactly?
Well, on Pesach, we have a Seder.
Oh, okay.
We eat matzah. On Tisha B'Av, we'll listen to the Megillah Avecha, and we'll sit low on the floor, and we'll do all those things. Now, very often, we're just going to do it because that's the halacha says that we have to do it, and we're going to do it because that's the right thing to do, and that's what we
Saying,
need
but,
to
like,
do.
during this time, like, what do? You just fast?
Well, on Tisha B'Av, you're just going to fast. And this time, so the real work is not just going through the motion. The real work is to say, okay, these are things that can happen. And this is an example. Why don't we swim in the pools? Nobody goes swimming these days. Why?
Well,
Because
camps are still.
most camps don't.
Wasn't that like last year or 2 years ago? Like
There's
a big
always
thing?
accidents and tragedies are happening for the reason I just said, that those creepers are out there causing things to happen. Can't tell you when, I can't tell you why, I can't tell you where or what. I mean, I don't have to go through. Again, I can't explain anything, and nobody can. Like, you had a Miron tragedy, and you had a Florida tragedy. How many Jews were killed in Florida? 20, 30 of them, right? Whatever it was, major tragedy. Who can predict? Who can explain? Obviously, nobody. But there are things, so to speak, in the air, which are there, and they're real, and they happen. And we don't see them, and we don't feel them, and we don't know why they're there, but they're there. So now, what can we do in our own personal lives to make them not happen to us, right? Now, there's another thing. David HaMelech said, and there was no person who had a greater suffering in life than David HaMelech. And one of the psukim that he says in Tehillim is, Eidcha Hashem ki anaftabi, thank you Hashem for causing me pain. Now, technically speaking, it sounds a little bit ridiculous. Like, why would you thank someone for causing you pain? Doesn't really make any sense. Answer is, we started off at the beginning. We have a body, we have the soul. The body is strictly worldly, right? Whatever physical pleasures you have in this world, although you feel them through your soul, but they're really bodily pleasures. That's what you're really doing, right? But I'm talking mostly eating and other physical pleasures. So now, let's say you live your whole life with physical pleasures and zero spirituality. What happens at the end? Nothing. Exactly. Right? I'll tell you a word that I heard over, and I think it's such a true word. Honestly speaking, what do we do most of the day? Well, let's assume we do everything right. What do we do most of the day? We went to shul, we davened, we did everything we were supposed to do. Well, most of the day, we weren't learned also. Most of the day, we went to work to try to make money. That's mostly what we did. And let's say we were fortunate and we amassed a huge fortune of money, right? And what happens at the end? Money stays here. What money do you take with you? Says the pasuk. The pasuk is talking about ribbis, lending and interest. If I lend you, let's say I lent you $100, I tell you got to pay me back $150, right? That's interest, which is absolutely forbidden under the Torah, right?
Even
So-
so good.
The guy is no, the guy is allowed. So a Jew is not allowed. So what we do is says in kesef talva esami is the pasuk. If you will take money and you will lend it to Ami means us Klal Yisrael. That's the simple title of the pasuk. The word is, it's not my word. I'm not sure who it's from. It says in kesef, not talva esami, that you lend out to your friends, but in kesef tilave esami, that money that will accompany you. What money will you take with you when you go upstairs? That's the money that you use for tzedakah. That's the money you use to buy mitzvahs. You bought food for Shabbos or whatever it was. That's the money you take with you. The money that you made here, right, from whatever business, great businessman you were, and you amassed fortunes and fortunes, which most of it you can't spend in 10 lifetimes, right? What did you accomplish? Us as being Jews, that who we are, so very important in Kesef Talava Esami. Like, take that money and see how much you can take with you. And it goes also on us. Okay, now we're doing things. Whatever it is that we do, or nothing specific. And now let's, of everything we're doing, what am I doing today that's following me with my soul, not just my body? That's really the key. So if you can do a mitzvah, or let's say refrain from doing an avera, just as an example. Let's say somebody wanted to marry a shiksa, just for whatever reason, right? They fell in love, they want to get married. Then the person decided he wants to have Jewish children, whatever it is, he decided he's not going to do that. The schar that he gets from withholding, from doing that avera, is almost is immeasurable, because most things are immeasurable, and that person got what you call like a leapfrog ahead of everybody else, because most people aren't even challenged with that. So if a person is challenged with that and he withstands that challenge, he's a million miles ahead of everybody else. Now, it doesn't mean that he's now finished. He could sit back on the beach the rest of his life. It doesn't work that way. But he got what you like to call, he cashed in a big CD, right? He's way, way ahead of the game for doing that thing that he sacrificed so much in his yearn to service Hashem and to be a better Jew and so forth. In these days, since we have all these, what we'll call bad things that are surrounding us and harassing us, right? And it's so much easier to fall in. These bad influences, and I don't have to tell you, they're surrounding us on a daily basis as much as possible, right? So our job is now, because we're vulnerable now. That's really what these 9 days, these days of Tisha B'Av are all about. We're vulnerable because there's outside influences, right? If you want to take it as a muscle, we'll go politics, right? We all want to be woke, right? It's all our fault of that. You can't have to be careful in case that goes on the play. But let's say there was certain types of people who were slaves in this country, right? And now they're claiming from 400 years ago that since their father picked cotton, that we owe them millions of dollars for it, right? Or that we want to say that everything that happened.
The biggest gift is that we took them out of Africa and brought them to America. So honestly, we did them a bigger favor taking them to stay for a couple of years than staying back in Africa.
Okay,
It seems like this video should not be
what?
published.
It should not be published. No. Okay, but
Your account's gonna get banned.
so we're not going to go there. But I'm just giving an example that there are many bad influences out there, which everybody knows right or wrong, but because people have an agenda, they want to promote it. If a person's created as a man, they're a man. Hashem created them for a good reason that they should be a man. And if they decided one day that they want to be not a man and they want to be a woman, or they want to marry another man, right? Hashem didn't create them that way. They're not supposed to be that way. They have psychological issues. They must go for treatment. That's really all it is. But they made it into a right to be sick, right? That's really what it came down to. You don't have a right.
It's true.
Person has urges, facts of life, right? Doesn't make your urges correct and doesn't make your urges a movement in order to try to influence everybody else. That my wrong lifestyle is a correct lifestyle. Hashem created every person, everything that has life in this world was created through Hashem. Again, if a person has an issue with it, he doesn't like the way it's created, right? So let's say you don't like your nose. You decided that your nose is too long, too wide, whatever it is. You have an option to go to plastic surgery, right? Maybe even have an option to remove it, right? I don't know.
Michael Jackson.
You just have two holes in your head and finish, right? Nobody's perfect, right? Nobody's nose is perfect, right?
Mental illness
Mental illness
has
is
rights.
right. That's
No,
what became.
But
So,
no,
but it's
they do
all-
have rights.
it's
but
all one thing. It's all
the
anti-Hashem.
mental illness is not equal.
Okay, that's everything's
That-
not equal.
They
But I'm
want
saying-
mental,
but-
mental illness to be equal with everything.
The bottom line is that everything that Hashem created was created with a purpose. And then there's a question: if you feel challenged by the way He created you, try to fix it. If you can't fix it, then learn how to live with it. Unfortunately, Hashem created me overweight. So I'm on a diet my whole life. And I can tell you I'm an absolute failure. All right. However, I'm learning, I don't know if my wife is, but you have to learn to live with it. And that's all. Life goes on. Right? You do the best that you can do. And that's it.
So
So,
you tell when
not
you
you, I'm not talking to you.
No, no, I
You're
know.
not part of that conversation.
No, I'm talking about the fact that you're just talking about them having
You
a
too.
life decision they have to change it. You said just learn how to deal with it.
Well, it just
So
takes
they're
work.
not, they shouldn't deal with it. They should get rid of it. But that's,
Well, if you, so-
Well, acting on it, the urge of it. No.
there's an
I don't
urge.
think
Everybody
that-
has urges. Everybody has urges. Some are normal urges. A man loves a woman is a normal urge. A man loving a man is a not normal urge. So he needs help to conquer that urge. And if he can't conquer the urge, then he just needs more help. The Torah said specifically a lifestyle. Hashem created a world with an instruction booklet. That's part of the instruction booklet. Part of the instruction booklet also is that in the month of Av, on the 9th day, is going to come bad influences on this world. And as a result of it, what?
every year in the ninth. So
Every single year on the 9th day, that's why people don't travel. That's why people don't things that'll put them in sakana. That's why people don't go swimming during the 9 days because of sakana. When I was a kid, I remember Rav Hutner, who was Rosh Hashiva in Chaim Berlin, used to say, Bachram, while sitting and learning a whole day, they could go swimming. They don't have to worry about it. And never fail. Every single year there were accidents, people broke bones, near deaths, all kinds of stories every single year. There are things that are out there which we don't see. They're microscopic. We're calling them klipas. The Hasidim like to use the word a lot. The Litvak, the Sfardim also use it a lot. The Ashkenazim don't like to use these words, but there are also in Nitzitzis Kedusha. How can we flip? That's key. What do we do to flip the bad influences to the good influences? Simple one I said was to go from a taker to a giver, right? Now, going from a taker to a giver, it doesn't, as I said it about money or food, but now let's take it on a spiritual level, right? Hashem put you in this world. Did he put you here just so you should take pleasures of the world? Or did he put you here in order to give back spirituality, to make himself happy? That you should have influence, just like you can have an influence on him or on him, that instead of going to do something which deep down you both know may not be the right thing to do, is let's go maybe learn something, maybe come here. I don't know if that counts, but whatever the case may be, but let's go do something positive. What can we do positive? We'll go to shul. We'll feel better. We'll learn something if we understand it. We'll take if you don't understand, you'll take an English sefer. There's enough that's out there to inspire you. There's so many stories today that come out, and then this is what we call hashgacha pratis stories, which is the hottest thing today, right? why the Hashgacha Pratis stories, like this and this incident happened. How many stories can you tell you from Florida that this guy was supposed to be in the building that night and he wasn't, and that guy was also supposed to be, and they weren't huge names, right? Living on moon and everything like that. But really, everything is beyond that. And those are just little things that Hashem gave us a little tidbit. He said, "Listen, everybody's weak. We need a little push, a little something. Let me give you a little push that you should, strengthen yourself, right?" So he gives us these little tiny revelations. But if we have the acknowledgement and the awareness that he's there with us all day long, every single day, and we have an opportunity to do something a little bit better than we were able to do the last time. So as you go, it rises. It's called mitzvah, bereres mitzvah. Why is that? I did one mitzvah, now comes the next. Right? Yesterday, I'm not talking about a guy that's knocking on your door. You want to give stuff. You made $100, you have to give 10%, right? So you're motivated to make another $100, right? Are you motivated to make another $100 because you like money? Yes, we all are. We all love money, right? No question, right? But if they just change your thought process and there's no action required, you're anyhow going to give 10%. But think of it that I'm making the extra money now because I want to be able to give back. And I'm not just talking about on a money basis, I'm talking much more so on a spiritual basis. What can you talk to your friends about to make yourselves feel better? You'll take a walk in the woods and you'll see, look at these trees. You know that every leaf and every tree is totally different than the other leaf next to it. And there are billions of trees. And if you'll take the DNA of any blade of grass that you'll see, they're totally different, none are the same. Facts of life. Go outside in my front lawn, pull off 10 leaves and show me if they're exactly the same. Not a single one. You look at the veins in the leaf, you look at the shape, right? Not a single one. Hashem created everything with a specific purpose, and you see it from everything that he created. And of course, which is the ultimate, is obviously different. How many people look exactly the same? Even identical twins. They're never identical. There's no clones. Doesn't work in clones. In manufacturing and man-made, there are clones. Anything made by Hashem, there are no clones. So just again to review for 1 second that we're coming to these days now. It's coming at Tisha B'Av. As much as it's not so much a crying for what happened, it's a yearning. Hashem, get me close to you. I want to be close to you, not so much because of the good you're going to give me, because if I'm close to you, I'm fulfilling my purpose in this world. And of course, Hashem, your father, Hashem, your teacher, Hashem, your mentor, will only send you good. And even if it doesn't seem good, then you go back to the Oitcha Hashem ki anaftabi. Thank you for giving me a little punishment in this world, because now when I get to the next world, that Avera that I did is taken care of. I don't have to worry about it. We don't know the cheshbons. Don't think because I did this, I can do that. It doesn't work that way. But that's basically.
Random question. Are we on the topic?
Now you could go off. Now I'm off that. Now you could go back to slaves and